Hello and welcome back to another game dev intermediate Java tutorial. So last time I said I will be discussing generic types, so I'm going to follow through on that. So we're going to talk about generic types. So a generic type is a is a generic class or interface that has a pre-materialized over types. So basically, it means that you can give a class any sort of type and it works with that. So it's how array lists work and it's how hash maps work. So make a new Java project. We're going to call this tutorial 05 or 04. Sorry, I don't know why I'm on 5. Generic types. Generic types. All right, let's make a new package. com.sshsgd.tut05 almost did it again. Now you guys are probably wondering why I'm doing a package for each one of these. It's just very important that you know how to work with packages. You cannot make Android apps without packages. It's just the rule of Java. Actually, before I move on with this, I'm just going to go ahead and make that hierarchical because I'm going to eventually have multiple packages in future tutorials. I think the next one, actually, I'm not quite sure. So let's go ahead and make a generic box. So, alright. So, one way that kind of the noob way of doing a generic type would be private object O, and then anything can be an object because object is the superclass of all classes. That's stupid. Let's not do that. So, let's actually use a generic type. So, in here, we have our angle brackets, just like in the array list. Then we give it T. We can actually put in type like that, but it is standard to do one letter. And there are actually naming conventions for these letters. E is for something that is an element. So if you're going to be holding a list, it's going to be E for the type of element. Key is for key, so if you're doing a map. N is if you're supposed to be holding a number. T is for type. V is for value. S, U, V, etc. are for the third, second, fourth types. And you can even have multiple generic types just by comma, whatever. So a hash map would do key, comma, element, right? But we're just going to have to, we're just doing one, so a type. So let's do private TET. So now the generic type is going to work just like any other object in this class. So if I had this will become an error because this does not exist, right? Actually, you can add parameter T to a generic box. That's a solution to having a class that does not exist. It means it's a generic type. So let's have a private T. So let's do let's make a getter and setter for this. So public void set T. I don't know why I did a V there on GitHub. This dot T equals T. Alright. Oops. Public T get. So it now just acts like a normal class. Why? What? Oh, what? Public T. That's weird. Hold on, let me just double check my syntax real quick. Set TT. Okay. Public. Yeah, I was just being weird. Okay, get. Alright, so now we return T. Alright, and then let's just do a public void print. And let's just do sysout T dot toString because even generic types have all the methods in the object class. So T dot toString. Alright. So let's go ahead and let's make our main. Let's implement generic type. So new class, we're going to call it main with a public static void. Okay, so let's make two generic boxes. So generic box, let's make it. So one rule about generic types. So as you remember in objects and array lists and hash maps, you can only do it for object types. You cannot put primitive. You can't do int. That is a primitive type or a native type. You cannot put those in there. you have to have the object type. So if you wanted to have an integer, you'd have to actually do integer, which is the object type of the primitive type. So they work the same way. It's just when you're using generic types, you have to use that. So int box, and let's make another generic box of dates. Don't use this date object. There's better ways to hold a date in Java, but this date object is just it's just good enough for now. So we have to import it from Java util. Okay, so int box equals new generic box. All right. So again, you do not, as the same with the hash map and the array list, you don't actually have to put this in here in the constructor again. You can leave it like that. That's totally fine. But you can also do, say, like date box equals new generic box. You can actually put in the type in again. You cannot put a different type, so you can't put like integer here because this is a different type. Which cannot convert into, yeah. So, yep. So that's that. So just keep that in mind. So you can, yeah. So let's do intbox.set. Let's do 23. You know, sysout or yeah, intbox.print. You know, and it comes out 23. And then when you do sysout, let's do another sysout. 12 plus intbox.get. It's acts like an integer at that point. So 35, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and do the date box. So datebox.set. Let's do a new date. Let's do my birthday. 98 11 28. Now do note that the date object, when it starts counting months at 0, so January is 0 and December is 11th. So my birthday is December 28th. In case you wanted to know, because hey, it's coming up. It's the 12th right now. So anyway, actually, how long? It's been a couple Mondays. All right, that's cool. Anyway, that's beside the point. So this is this outdated. So you just add that suppress warning so that Eclipse can shut up. So datebox.print. All right, so let's look at that. All right, so print Monday, December 28th. When you just declare a date, it declares it at midnight. All right, and Pacific Standard Time, so that's where we are. And then you can do sysout datebox.get. So again, you can now acts like any other date class. So get year. Let's go ahead, just do that. So print out, and then it prints out 98. All right. So that's it for generic types. You will probably use them. They're not generally used when actually making a program. You're not going to be worrying too much about generic types in terms of creating a class with generic types, but you will be using a lot of classes that use generic types. They're for collections, So most of the generic types you'll be dealing with is on this end, not on this end. But just how the array list works, stuff like that. So we could make our own little hash map and just do like key whatever and just have 2 array lists. But we're not going to deal with that right now because I really don't feel like it. So yeah, so let's go ahead. So that's good. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so yeah, next time we're going to talk about exception handling. So actually not multi-threading, that's fine. So exception handling will be next time, very important concept. So tune in and have a great day. Bye.